The gym was nearly empty, echoing only with the distant hum of the fluorescent lights. Practice had ended an hour ago, and all the girls had already left. Everyone except Mia. She lingered in the locker room, moving slowly, her sneakers squeaking on the tiled floor. She always stayed behind, not because she wanted to, but because something about the crowded chatter of her teammates made her feel out of place. The locker room was colder than usual that evening. The air smelled faintly of damp towels and metal polish. Mia set her duffel bag on the bench and pulled open her locker. The hinges gave a low creak. She began to change out of her jersey, brushing back a strand of damp hair from her face. She was exhausted, but at least the silence was calming. Just as she bent down to tie her shoes, a sudden metallic slam cracked through the room. Mia flinched, her heart jumping. One of the lockers at the far end had shut violently on its own. She froze, staring across the rows of dull gray doors, each one identical. "Hello?" she whispered, her voice sounding too small in the cavernous silence. No answer. Her mind immediately tried to explain it away. Maybe a draft, maybe the building settling, maybe even one of the old faulty locks snapping shut. But the air felt still, heavy, as though it had been holding its breath. Mia laughed nervously at herself. "Don't be stupid," she muttered, shaking her head. She crouched to pick up her bag, telling herself not to look again at the far end of the room, but her eyes betrayed her. They darted to the long mirror mounted along the opposite wall, the one that reflected every row of lockers in its silver sheen. At first, it showed only what she expected: rows of lockers, the bench, her own hunched figure tying her shoes. Then she noticed something else. Behind her reflection, crouched low near the lockers, was another figure. Her breath hitched. The shape was twisted, hunched unnaturally close to the floor, almost spider-like. She couldn't see its face clearly, only the outline, limbs bent at strange angles, as though it had been waiting, watching. Mia's blood ran cold. She whipped her head around to look directly behind her. Nothing. The lockers sat in perfect stillness, the row empty. Her gaze snapped back to the mirror. The figure was still there. This time, it moved. Slowly, its head tilted upward in the reflection, though behind her, the air remained empty. Two sunken eyes glowed faintly in the mirror's depths, fixed directly on her. Her legs refused to move. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but she was rooted to the spot, watching the reflection of something that should not exist. The mirror figure began to crawl closer in its world, hands dragging against the tiles, its body jerking in unnatural motions. The sound of scraping metal filled her ears, though the real locker room was silent. Mia staggered back, her breath coming in sharp gasps. She blinked once, desperate to make it vanish, but when her eyes opened, the figure was right behind her reflection, towering over it, its mouth opening far too wide in a grin that stretched across its shadowy face. She spun around again. Nothing. Only the bench, her bag, the lockers. Then came the whisper, "Mia." Her name, soft but rasping, as if spoken from inside her own skull. She clutched her bag, hands trembling. Without another thought, she bolted toward the door, sneakers pounding against the tile. The mirror caught her in her flight, her reflection running in terror, but in that reflection, the figure was no longer behind her, it was running with her. She reached the exit and yanked it open, stumbling into the brightly lit hallway. The air outside felt warm, alive, filled with distant voices of janitors and students still lingering in the gym. She pressed her back against the wall, her chest heaving. Gathering her courage, she dared a glance back through the glass window in the door. The locker room was empty. Completely still, but in the mirror, just for a moment before the lights inside flickered and went black, she saw it, standing upright now, pressed against the glass, its grin wider than ever. She never stayed late after practice again. And she never looked too long in mirrors when she was alone, because sometimes, reflections don't just show you yourself. Sometimes, they show you what's waiting for you. If this story gave you chills, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more terrifying tales. Your support keeps the nightmares alive.